We'll start again. Good evening. Not yet, Tyler. This is the January 2020 Orange Board of Selectmen's meeting. We are in the lower meeting room as normal. For those of you in the audience, in the event of an emergency, you would use the stairway to my right, your left, that goes up to the rear parking lot. If for some reason you couldn't get up that stairway, you would go out the hallway down the back, which would send you out by the firehouse, or you could go up the stairway up the front, behind the wall with a clock on it, through the double doors, out the front door, and that will put you out on the Orange Center Road side of the town hall. With that said, please rise for the pledge, and I'm going to ask my scouts if they would like to come up and lead us in the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do you have something to say, or yes. You do? Well, then we'll let you do it here.
Do we need to use these?
You are your grandmother's boy, let me tell you. Yes, you have to say your name and what troop you guys are from. Each of you have to do that part, okay?
Okay.
Name?
I am Tyler. I am from Pack 922. We would like to use the gymnasium of High Plains Community Center for our annual Pinewood Derby on February 7th, 2020.
Okay, very good, Tyler.
Hi, I'm Enzo Martone from Pack 922, and we would like the customary central fee for the use of the gym. Waived.
Okay, so your Pinewood Derby is, let's everybody move ahead here a little bit. Okay, yes. So they're asking to use the gymnasium and all at High Plains, and they're asking for the fees to be waived, as we have done in the past for their Pinewood Derby event, which has been going on there since probably 1955 or 56, to the best of my knowledge. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity for you guys. So is there let's go out of order, and is there a motion to approve their request?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any other discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. You have your approval.
Thank you.
Now sit down and earn your badge for government. Okay. Let's see. We got this over here. Okay, now we'll go back to this introductions. We'll start on my left tonight, over on this side. Mitchell.
Good evening, Mitch Goldblatt.
Good evening, Ralph Okenquist.
Good evening, Margaret Novicki. And Denny, Secretary.
Thank you. Thank you. Public participation. Public participation is for any item that is not an agenda item. Is there anything that is not? You guys are represented by counsel at this time.
That's what I'm here for.
You were?
No, we're not. We're pro se. That's why I'm here, and I'm not represented by counsel. That was misspoken. I would like, if we could, wait for Selectman Carangelo.
We are not waiting. We are moving ahead. We're not moving.
Okay, so let me read this. I'll make it very simple. Okay? The reason why I am here is because somehow it got misconstrued that I was represented by counsel. So I'd like the opportunity to clear it up, and I think by the time this is over, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not that sure. By the time it's over, I think we'll all have a better understanding and we'll be out of your hair. Okay, I was not at last month's meeting, so I'm here tonight pro se to clarify some references of me and my family friend, Marilyn Lipton, who just happens to be a management labor attorney. I reached out to Attorney Marino after last month's meeting to try to clarify some facts, but I didn't get a return phone call. And at that time of my call, I chose not to reach out to his assistant, Phyllis, for further assistance. After receiving Attorney Ryan's letter dated August 6, 2019 to this board, I reached out to Attorney Lipton for a legal opinion, knowing her management background, expecting not to completely like what I might hear. References have been made that ensure that Mitch and I talk about many things, but not about this issue, until it was properly processed before this board. Even then, given his background as the first selectman at the time of negotiations, as well as his position of an HR professional, I knew, much like Attorney Lipton, I might not like what I hear. Attorney Ryan and this board invited us, with the exception of you, my dear, you weren't here yet. So Attorney Ryan and this board invited us to return to this forum if we had any more questions or information. The writings of Attorney Lipton, dated August 23rd and October 9th, respectively, did just that, but to no avail, as each writing closed with the offer of further discussion. On October 10th, 2019, something interesting occurred. At approximately 9:20 a.m., I pulled up to the drive-through window of People's Bank next to Attorney Ryan. Needless to say, he looked very surprised to see me, much like a deer in the headlights. When I asked him if he spoke with Marilyn regarding her letter, he said something to the effect that he lost it and that he never got the facsimile of the same information. He stated the next time you speak with her, have her resend the documents. I said, I'd do that right now. Called Marilyn from my car. She found it odd that he didn't get the documents while she was holding the facsimile receipt in her hand. Nonetheless, that same day, at 3:34 p.m., via his iPhone, he sent the following response. I'm out of town, and I will try to get to this next week. Then, on October 19th, at 5:37 p.m., via his email, he states, I have a draft response prepared. I will be sending you a final version on the 23rd. Assuming he meant October 23rd, that didn't happen. After still receiving no response toward offers of further discussions, on November 7th, I filed a notice of anticipatory breach claim with the town clerk and requested that it be formally distributed to this entire board. I was told it would. Once again, I hope this board would review Attorney Lipton's opinion and further discussions toward resolve would happen. I know at the very least, this would have been discussed at the November 13th meeting and was surprised when it wasn't. So, we could stop and they can come up and finish, or would you just give me, I got like 2 minutes, 2 seconds, I'm almost done. Can I have the courtesy? Okay. Okay, so I thought it was going to be discussed at the meeting. So I sent Jim and this entire board an email on November 14th requesting a formal review of Attorney Lipton's opinion. If a response was given that the review occurred and the position of the board remained the same, that would have been fine. But that never occurred either. 5 months has passed, and I assure you I have not been idle, staring at Prancer's kazoo. I've been diligently fact-finding information that clearly memorializes all our claims. When I shared this with my friend Marilyn, she stated this was game-changing information. She only wished she had it at the time of her writings, and it would be wise for the town to try to resolve this matter. We even talked about the possibility of sending one more letter, but based on the fact that we haven't gotten a response yet, doing so is just pointless. Which brings me to my final point. Rather than avoid litigation, which I believe this board has a solemn responsibility to the taxpayers to do, the message is being sent, take us to court. Well, we'll do it, okay? And there's a saying in law enforcement, when officers are charged with the most difficult duty, much like what just occurred in Ansonia police shooting recently, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. I'll tell you what, it's real fitting because there's 6 of you people here. I'll take my chances in the courtroom simply because they're going to be more sympathetic to this. I have what I need to go forward, and I told you this in the beginning, okay? You guys, I don't know what you're reading because we have more information he does in his part of participation, but I told you not to make the same mistake that was made with Mark Recco. No, I requested, I'm not threatening, Jim.
You are.
I don't mean to. I'm passionate. I just think that if the documents are relooked at, you might have a different opinion and we can avoid litigation. But if that's where we're going, that's where we're going. Thank you all again for your service and your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, I'm George Jean, and no, I am not represented by any legal counsel. I don't know, and nor did I ever say I was.
You ought to watch last month's disc, because 30 seconds into it, you did.
Really?
Yes, you did.
Well, I just watched it on, whatever that government access is, and I don't recall that at all. Not,
true. That's not true, George.
I've never, I'm not represented by any council, I'm represented by myself. But one of the things I want to now clarify is, under our change of our dental plan, you're claiming that we now have a whole different dental plan in which crowns and everything weren't covered, but yet I've got a document presented to me on January 18th of 2019, showing you my dental number, my membership number, and everything else, and it shows a whole big difference. It shows that crowns are covered, along with other things such as diagnosis, bridge work, and dentures, and all that. So I'm not sure what document the boards have been looking at, because when we asked for a line-by-line comparison, which allegedly was done, we were never given any part of it.
We did not do a line-by-line comparison,
Why not?
It was,
because we don't have to. Your union requested that.
we didn't, we don't have a union,
It was,
Mr.
it was,
Zioli.
it was looked at.
We don't
and
have a union.
considered. We did not do a line-by-line, nor do we intend to.
Attorney Ryan said that's what they were gonna do. That was the last thing he said about that.
There is no line-by-line, nor do we intend to.
Well, then how do you compare it?
We're not comparing it.
It's an inferior
It's,
plan.
it's your
a line by
request,
line.
not ours. Go ahead, George.
But we were told you were gonna do a line-by-line by Mr. Ryan.
That's great. Well, there's no line-by-line. We have no document to provide to you as you requested in your FOI.
And I will get a response in writing that you have no
At some
documents?
point, we have, within reasonable time, you were responded to within 5
Yep,
days.
I know.
And then you were told within reasonable time.
Yep, and I appreciate that
And
then.
the letter will state that there is no line-by-line document on our side.
Okay,
I
and once
can
again,
provide, I can provide for you the line in the union negotiations of, I think it's 12, and it was one of the offered items. And it says right in there, the union doesn't have enough information at that time, and they waited for the information, which Karen provided to them, and then they made their decision. It's in a whole list of documents from them.
But the bottom line is, we're not part of the union.
No,
Doesn't
that's
pertain
right,
to
but the
us.
contract,
Yeah.
Bill,
Exactly,
the-
whatever
you are all correct in that.
Right.
But the part that you keep forgetting, your contract does not say that you will retain the same after retirement. It said the retirees receive the same as the employed.
No, it does not. It says we get a Delta dental.
No,
plan.
it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It does not. Unfortunately, it does not. It says you get the same as the employed. We have the documents. George will be receiving it. It does not state Delta anywhere in that contract. Does
I
not.
wanted to go to the mic. I'll
Yeah.
do that. You know, this whole thing started in 2018 of fall. I thought on the town's part there was a mistake, and that I could talk to you basically man to man and say, Jim, there's a mistake here.
And you
took the
did.
approach. The first thing you said to me was, your union.
That's right.
It's not my union, okay?
But you are
I've been
carried
gone-
in that
I've been gone
contract.
since 2005.
Yep.
What the union does in 2012, whatever, doesn't pertain to me. What I go is by the contract. I had a Delta dental plan. Things were covered, and now they're not. You said that the plan that they have now is equivalent. That's why we talk about
Comparable,
line-by-line
comparable.
comparison.
Well,
But
my-
guess what? You have it. Why wouldn't you do it?
We're not doing that here. This group does not have the documents, and we are not doing that. I've told you that before.
should have the documents,
You
it's
should-
right
if you're
here,
gonna
it
say
says
that
that,
it's the same plan,
it says that I'm
comparable.
entitled to Delta Dental,
Comparable.
and then it says,
If you say it's comparable, you would want to do a line-by-line, so you could. go
I'm
back
not
to what you're
doing
saying.
it. I don't have a complaint with it.
it
Well,
says
it's not
comparable to
true what
those
you're
above.
saying.
It is true what we're
If
saying.
you're saying that it's comparable.
You just don't want to hear what we're saying,
No,
but it is
I
true.
just want what I'm entitled to.
I don't know why it
It's-
could be
and
called-
That's why we're all here.
That's what it is.
I'm confused, how it can be comparable if you didn't do a
Yeah.
line-by-line?
How can you do that?
We did not have to do it.
Well,
It
then
was
then
a
what are you
change-
comparing it to?
It was a change by the police side, not the town side.
But that's
And-
not us. That's not us.
That's not us.
All right,
The problem
over.
was that the riders were not
That's
put
it,
into
time.
place.
That's
No.
not us.
No, Frank.
No,
This isn't the time and place.
that's right.
This is not,
That's correct.
this is not what this is for.
That's correct.
Well,
I had to come because before I even walked up here, it was already, I have counsel. I don't.
Well,
I did.
the problem, Frank, the problem with that is when you responded to George's FOI request a week or 10 days ago, you responded from your Samsung iPhone, as it said on the bottom of the email. George, I see your email with your requests, and I will check with, I forget if it said council or with Marilyn, for dates that will work for all of us. It came to all of us.
Yeah,
You
that's
had,
right, Jim, I know
So
what I
then-
said, I'm
so
not
that-
hiding
so
the
then
fact.
that's
I'm
a
not hiding
council,
the fact.
Frank.
No.
If
I
you're
haven't
all meeting with
formally-
council, you
I
are.
have not formally attained council. So just because I talked to a friend of mine at
No, no,
Selectmen
no. What you said was,
Yeah.
you would get dates that would
from an
work for
attorney
all of you.
For a meeting, yeah,
Right.
which we haven't had yet. So
Well-
I can't have what I don't have, Jim.
No.
But I appreciate everybody's time. It's just, you understand that I wasn't here last month. So I had to do this because unfortunately Vin jumped into it cold and was under the full
He's not the
assumption
labor
that-
attorney.
Well, I know, but he is an attorney and he's a competent attorney. And so he jumped into it cold and took the position that Marilyn Lipton was my counsel. She's not, never has been. She's just a friend.
Good,
Thanks, guys.
all right.
All I'm gonna leave and say, this could have been worked out rather than going to a litigation type.
You're right.
It could have been. And you know what? In good faith, if you did a line by line, it would have showed in good faith that you're looking at.
Billy, that's
this.
your complaint. There's complaints that,
My complaint started
other
with the dental. You're right.
other fellow, former employees have other complaints. So you're
Right.
all under one umbrella.
Right.
They're all under
Well,
one
no,
contract.
I'm sticking with what I started with, because it affected me. And the thing is, I called you, said, hey, Jim, there's a
And
mistake
told you.
here. And guess what?
It's
Even
not
to
a
this day,
mistake.
Now, like I said, that was fall of 2018. You still won't do a line-by-line comparison? Because when
No.
Judy's saying that, well, you're getting just as good of a plan as you did before, well, guess what? If you did a line-by-line, you'd find out that's not true.
Well,
And you know what? In good faith, this could have been resolved
It
here.
could be.
In this place.
Not gonna
but
be.
You're telling us you wanna go to the next step? You wanna have the town
no,
cost money? It's
we've
gonna cost us money?
had interpretations of the contract as it stood in the documents that went with it.
Mm-hmm.
And our opinion was one thing, which is not the opinion that you believe.
Well, like I said, if you did the
So-
line by line, you would know.
But there's
The
more,
line by line
there
would
there
tell.
are more complaints there than just your issue.
I'm sticking with one issue, you're kind of.
Well,
I'm talking
you're
about
lumped in
dental.
with a group.
I know, but I'm talking about the dental. If you did line by line, you would say, hey, you know what, Bill, you're right. But guess what, you won't even do that. So that, the town will know, you won't even bother doing that. Because you're HR, you take it all on yourself. I would think you'd want to have all your oars in the water, know what you have.
Our oars are in the
Well, when
water.
you
We
find out,
have what we have.
It's not gonna be a comparable plan that I retired under. And that's where we're at. So, if you're telling us that we have to go to, down the court route. and all
I'm
that
not
stuff,
telling you that. That's a decision that only you guys can make.
well, why can't you do a line by line?
Because what's it gonna show you?
It's gonna show you that it's not the same plan.
But it doesn't matter.
does
You
matter
are,
to me.
you
It
get the
matters to them.
same, you get the same thing as the employed.
I'm not getting the
All
same
right,
thing I
that's,
retired under.
that's it.
And if you did line by line, you would know.
It doesn't say you get the same thing that you retired under. That is not the wording in the contract. If that's not the wording.
So, for the record, we would have liked to have.
Yeah, I
addressed this,
understand
but
that.
Again, 2018 till now, and you still want to do a line by line comparison, that's shocking.
Okay. Any other people for public? No. Announcements, tabled? No. I only have two. Town offices will be closed in observance of Martin Luther King Day on Monday, January 20th. However, the transfer station will be open. Second one, Donnie Foyer has been after me. I've been negligent. Although we've been quite lucky with the weather, the time is still there, the ground is still soft to protect your mailbox. And you should put up a batter board because we will get a storm or two. And if your mailbox is not protected from snow flying off a plow, especially since we've been having warmer weather, it probably will be wet, heavier snow. And you need to protect your mailbox and post. The town does not fix mailboxes unless they run them over. The breaking of it by the snow rolling off the plow doesn't constitute running over. So you need to protect your mailboxes. And elderly posts sometimes give way easier than new. So if you have time to protect it this weekend, the weather's supposed to be in the upper 50s to possibly 60, get at it. Thank you. Minutes. To consider and act on the minutes of the December 11th, 2019 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. Were there any errors, omissions, or corrections? And if there are, state name page and paragraph. Margaret? Is your microphone on? There you go.
On page 1, the first bullet point, George Jean Kennedy Drive, representing police retirees to grieve. I don't think the word is correct there. To raise concerns about contradictions in their contract is my suggestion.
Okay.
And then I have one other, the second bullet point, second to the last line, where it says you must be part of a major party to vote. You must be registered in a major party. I just think that's clear.
Where's that?
The second bullet point, right under the first one that I just referred to.
Oh,
Yeah.
Patrick,
You
okay.
must be registered in a major party to vote.
7 o'clock.
7. That's it for me.
That would have been nice.
Okay, Margaret, we got yours. Is there any other errors, omissions, or corrections? With those 2 corrections? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous, very good. Okay, we already took care of item number 1, that was kind of cute. He was so excited, there was no stopping him. So we'll go to item number 2, is, Lawrence, good thing you came early. To consider and act on the request from the Lions Club to waive the customary rental fees for the use of the gym at High Plains Community Center for the annual Easter egg hunt, rain date, April 11th. That all ran together. Is the
first date is April 4th, which is that Saturday.
The hunt is April 4th. You have to come up here.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Lawrence Messina, Lions Club of Orange. Yes, the original date is April 4th, a Saturday, and the rain date is April 11th.
Okay, the rain date is April 11th.
Yes.
So would you still use the gymnasium if it was clear on the 11th?
No, if it's clear on the 11th, we're going to use the 11th
Grounds.
date. Yes,
If it
Grounds.
rains on the 4th, you're gonna go to the 11th regardless?
correct.
Okay, so the annual Lions Easter egg hunt is April 4th at the High Plains Fairgrounds at what time?
We usually start set up around 9 in the morning, but
What time do the hunts start?
about 11:30, 12 o'clock.
All right, so be there before 11 would be your best bet on April 4th. If it is raining on April 4th, the makeup day is April 11th, and be there before 11. If it is raining on the 11th, it will still be held, but be moved indoors. Correct.
Sounds good. And only once in over 30 years have we had to have the Easter egg hunt indoors. So hopefully it'll be another 30 years before we have that happen again.
And it's quite timely that you are here today with this by reading the obituaries in today's paper. One of my father's colleagues, when they started the Lions many, many years ago, Thomas Valerio passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to
And
hear
it's
that. I
in
had no
today's
idea.
paper, and he was one of the founders, along with my father and a few others, of the Easter egg hunt.
It's,
He was 90-some-odd years old, and Teresa still lives here in town, and our sympathies do go out to the Valerio family.
yes, our sympathies also from the Lions Club to the Valerio family.
So with that all said, motion to
Second.
approve, motion and second made. Any other discussion for Dr. Messina? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, unanimous. And I will be talking to Attorney Marino about your other problem, because he knows the
The
person.
situation.
No, he
Okay.
doesn't know the situation yet, but he
Okay.
knows the person.
Thank you for handling that. And members of the board, thank you so much for your time and your approval of our Easter egg hunt. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Lawrence.
Thank you for doing these.
Yes.
Yes.
Come along, we'll give you some chocolate eggs.
Only if you.
I remember when we were kids, it was down in back in the pavilion, they put them in rotten logs and in the trees and in the bushes, and you went all over. Margaret's nodding, she remembers it, was just much younger than me, but she remembers it too.
We got so large now, we need the fields.
Me too.
Have a good night, everyone.
Very good. Okay, item number 3 is to consider and act on the agreement between the Town of Orange and American Medical Response of Connecticut Incorporated. This is for our paramedic fly car, which serves the town well, has served the town well. We think since like 1995 was everybody's best recollection, but we're not 100%. Yes, so she was there then and a little before that. So, but we've had this service for a long time, and anybody who has had a medical call, emergency call here in town, our police do an outstanding job when they show up, our paramedics, and having that paramedic fly car provided by American Medical Response, AMR, in town 24/7, 365 is a awesome benefit. My household has been a user of it quite a few times, and they do an awesome job. So this agreement was put forward. Mr. Cifarelli and I met with the representatives from AMR, and like everything else, it does have some, they did ask for larger increases, and we gave them some examples of what we were more comfortable with, and they went with some numbers that were more in line with what some of our other contractual obligations and settlements have been. Oh, all right, Mitchell.
Thanks, Jim. I have a couple of questions. One has to do with exactly that last point about the amount. The first question was, how much did it go up from the end of the last
Yep,
contract to the beginning of this one? Do you want to answer that, you know?
To the one we're in,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't recall.
you can see the increases year to year in the
This-
contract, which look reasonable. The question was, was there a big jump
The
from?
last one was, you know, Mitch, I'm not gonna even try to wing it. I don't recall
Okay.
what that was.
But you feel comfortable
There
that
was
it
an
was-
increase. This one, I can tell you this one, they wanted 3.5, or 3.5, 3.25, 3.5. And we ultimately worked it out by comparing them to some other contractual obligations, 2%, 2.25%, 2.5% the final year.
Well, thank you,
I
and
can't-
and the finance director for doing that. Then that's reasonable. The other concern I have with the dollars of this is that I must be reading something wrong because I looked at it twice now. Under number 4 on page 2, it says compensation, and in bold print, it says what year 1 is. But then if you move down below the chart there, that's not, year 1 is a higher amount, and then it builds from that. So I'm confused as to
I
whether.
will- Know what?
Do you know
I
what I'm
will-
saying? Do you see what I'm saying?
I do. And you know what? I wonder if that's this year.
Oh,
The year that you just asked about, that we're
Okay.
in,
all right.
I'll bet you it was missed.
So either the number on the bottom is lower or the number up top is higher, but it doesn't
take my
agree,
phone?
so.
Yeah, you did. Excuse me?
I said, oh, shit.
Excuse me?
You're being recorded for OGAT. just-
Yeah,
just, you
thanks
know.
there. I'll bet you, Mitch, that's, what was it, 2, 6, 3, 4, 4.96 times, let's see.
That might have been the first year price, so it's, I don't know.
5,000, so at 2%, that would be I'll bet you it is, at 2%, that's $5,270, so I'll bet you this year we're in about a 2% increase there.
All right, well, I'm willing to approve this tonight. I just want to make sure that we approve it with the caveat that
I
that
think
gets
that
corrected somewhere.
Yeah, that needs to be corrected. I think this was generated, we read the numbers, read the contract, John and I both, they sent it back with wrong numbers the first time,
Okay.
and then we sent it back, they corrected it, and I'd be quite honest with you, I looked at only the numbers the second time, I didn't look at that part, and
Okay.
so, yeah.
So probably the top part's got to get changed. And my second question,
It will
Jim,
be.
and the second question, and there's nobody here from AMR, so I
No.
can't ask them the question. Do we know how many times throughout the last year, the last contract, that they had to actually pay the fine that's in the contract for being late? Listen, you've used AMR quite a bit, and you've just said you're satisfied. I think most people in town have been very satisfied with AMR. I have heard of a few complaints where people felt that the service was a lot longer than the 10, 12 minutes, depending on where in town they were. And so I'm just curious as to who's monitoring that and whether whether it is, whether we are seeing some fines, and it may be the wrong word, fine, but a fee for being late.
I would recommend there, another person who you are familiar with, through the MedCom program, because that took place for the previous CMed program that we had for dispatch. Rick Fontana oversees MedCom. I would say he will be your best direct for that information. I have gotten a couple complaints, and I'll tell you this, the complaints that we received were twice when they had multiple calls at the same time. And one of those was just a couple weeks ago, right before Christmas. We had 3 medical calls right at the same time. And obviously the paramedic went from one to the second. By the time he got done with the second, the third had been cleared up by other personnel. There were 2 of those where they had multiple calls right within the same window. Another one of those was when we had a very bad motor vehicle accident on Racebrook Road by Holy Infant Church, and a very bad motor vehicle accident on Orange Center Road right in front of the fairgrounds at the same time, was another one. And then this past fall fair weekend, there was a complaint about the response, which they claimed took almost 20 minutes, for a child, and I forget if it was an asthma attack or what it was at this moment, at the soccer fields at the same time as the fair was going on. And the paramedic had responded to another call. There was an ambulance stationed at the fairgrounds, but that one was assigned to that location, and through somebody's dispatch, which we don't oversee. I spoke with a doctor parent who was very irate over the whole thing and that we control it, et cetera. I say, we don't dispatch that. It's all done through a central dispatching agency. And I actually gave her Rick Fontana's information, and I gave Rick Fontana's office her information, and I never did hear back from that woman, so I could only hope that they met, and he's the professional on this. He runs the New Haven Emergency Management Program, and he does an excellent job with that, so I can only hope that he clarified it for people. But those are the 3 or 4 that I know of. But as far as fines, I can't speak to that.
Okay, so I was gonna say that, two of the 3 you mentioned were 2 of the ones that I heard of. Mostly in particular, I heard enough discussion about the one at the Fred Wolf Park, especially because it was reported to me and I wasn't privy, I wasn't there at either spot at the same time,
Yeah.
but the AMR car was there and didn't move, and you're saying that may be possible, that it was stationed there and was stationed there and told not to move by powers
dispatch.
other than us.
Not the paramedic, an ambulance was
Okay.
at the fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just the perception is if we have a car stationed at the fair, because there's a lot of people there, but if there's an actual emergency somewhere else, you know, you'd think that particular car would move, or ambulance would move. But
That's,
I realize
again,
I'm not asking you for an
dispatch.
answer there, Jim.
I
I
can't
realize
give it to you.
it's not your
Yeah.
call. So that was why I kind of hope somebody from AMR would be here, but I just wanted to get clarification on how that worked, not just for me, but for the public who watches OGAT.
That all goes through MedCom, through
Okay.
that new dispatching
All right.
process that.
And would John Cifrelli, our finance director, have any awareness of what penalties, because the penalties would come to us, yes?
It would probably go to Art Williams.
Okay.
If
So we can-
anybody, they would go to Art, I would think. Don't look at
Judy,
Art.
can you check into that? No, just curious.
No,
you
I
know,
understand what you're asking.
You know, there are penalties set up. It's penalties are set up because we know it won't be perfect.
Yep.
And it's just, you know, just out of curiosity, especially you just mentioned 3 potential penalties, not that any of them
Well,
engage the penalty.
I don't
but-
think you can give a penalty when they are at a scene,
Okay.
because, you know, they can only cover
Yeah.
so much, and due to the, whatever the circumstances may be. I mean, if it's somebody who's hung up in a tree or something, but perfectly fine, but did something foolish is one thing, where if you have another emergency call, there might be people who can handle that issue and then the paramedic could fly. But if you have in a situation where you have anaphylactic shock or somebody with chest pains or, you know, a motor vehicle accident or something, they can only be in, you know, one place at a time.
Okay, thank you.
So, it's not a perfect system, but it is much better than not having it all. And if you ever need that service, let me tell you, they're pretty amazing people. So with that, any other questions or concerns? We will get that corrected, Mitch, on page 2. Is there a motion to approve?
I would say motion to approve, provided on page 2, that correction.
The correction, yeah.
Would be done.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, unanimous. Okay, item 4 is to consider and act on request for tax refunds totaling $3,510.93. None of us are on here to the best of my sight here, so is there a motion to approve? Okay. All in favor? All right. What?
We got it, roll call.
Oh, you didn't think I was gonna say that part? Oh, I thought I heard it.
Got you covered.
Okay, last item. I don't look up, so my ears are doing it. Discussion on implementing fee at transfer station. No action will be until the February meeting. This is for the bulky waste, is how the Public Works Office upstairs calls it. I call it the demolition material. It's the cement slab out back, before you get out to the brush pile and scrap metal out there. There's a lot of things to consider as we do this, and, you know, the scrap metal out there doesn't bring back, you know, millions of dollars, but we do get paid by a vendor for the scrap metal. The leaf depositing back there, several years ago now, we put in a payment system for that, and we used to run out of room, actually, for the leaves out back there. And since we implemented a pay-to-go system on that, we are down by 2/3 on our leaf intake, and people's yards are still getting cleaned up and vacuumed up around town. That's a good question. That is a good question. But they're paying somewhere, because whether they send it to us or send it to Soundview, they're gonna be paying, so it's, you know, it's gotta be. Years ago, I put in, with Ed Lieberman, separating out the cardboard, and Marcus Paper, Steve Zamkoff, who's a resident here in town, they buy the cardboard clean cardboard from us, which does bring us back some money, and it does take a lot of tonnage out of our MSW, and it does go back to recycling. It's amazing the amount of cardboard that we fill in dumpsters. We fill at least 4 dumpsters every week, those 30-yarders with cardboard, and those guys, they compact it with that payloader, and, I mean, there's a lot of cardboard in one of those dumpsters. Yeah, and, yeah. And so we've implemented in some areas. Well, then I keep watching the demolition material, the bulky waste, and there's a big dumpster on each side, a high side dumpster there on each side. When those are full, they usually weigh out pretty close to 25 tons in a dumpster. And on a Saturday, when weather is good and all, it is not uncommon for us to fill 4 of those. And so I asked Sylvia about it, and she sent down this sheet with the information on it. And here we are. Now, December is not even on here yet, so it's July, August, September, October, November, 5 months, and you've already generated almost 673 tons of bulky waste material. And there are some questionable deposits there, and things vary. You know, if somebody's bringing in a couple old broken up stools or wood cabinets or something, there's not a lot of weight there. But also on that slab goes sheetrock, goes roofing material, goes decking, heavy timbers, which we get a tremendous amount of. I don't know where it all comes from, but it does come. So we started talking about making that as a pay-to-play. And as you see, you've already spent almost $57,000 in 5 months on that material. So I said, we really need to look at this and consider something with it.
Excuse me one second.
Go ahead.
So we are paying $57,000.
That's what we have paid so far, that number all the way to the right
So
there.
we're paying to.
Get rid of.
Unlike the cardboard, which we're getting paid for.
Correct.
We're paying 80, it says, if I'm not right,
80
mistaken,
currently it
84.66
is, yeah.
per ton.
This contract will be going out to bid shortly. I know they're working on it.
And who currently takes that? Just out of
I think
curiosity.
it goes to, I think City is hauling that.
City is?
I think that's their dumpsters, they're hauling that. I think it goes down to probably Old Gate Lane down there, where they do a lot of that type of work. Yeah, so Mr. Cifarelli and I talked about this, finance director, and we can only go by the numbers we have, not the numbers we don't have. Once it goes out to bid, should you decide to accept this, the number might have to vary. The number he came up with was, by doing the math, was 15 cents a pound. And that 15 cents a pound includes all of the, I think if you go to your it's the second sheet in my packet, and he just brought this down today, which is why it wasn't in your packet sooner. He broke it all down with a lot of the costs, and believe it or not, a lot of it is pennies. But he figured it all out, and this is, what he came up with. And what I think would be the best way to go with this, because a lot of this comes in on Saturdays and unpredictable days, is have no cash to change hands. Strictly debit, credit card, which nowadays 99% of all business is conducted that way. They would have a terminal down there at the attendance shed, and they would hold the person's card. The vehicle would drive on the scale, weigh, get rid of their material, drive back on the scale, weigh, and then they would be charged at the swipe station for what they deposited. The reason John thought, he and Paul talked about this, to lease as opposed to purchase swipe terminals, due to the working conditions down there, the location down there, at a transfer station, even though it will be in that building. If you own it, you're kind of up a creek and have to buy another one. If you lease them and something happens to it, they bring you another one. So John and Paul were more confident with that than owning it. Then you see the next part here, the in color part, was prescribed by, now most all of our banking is done at People's. This could generate a few dollars, quite obviously, if you start to do the math. If you did, let's see, 676.76 times 2,000 equals 1,353,000 pounds times 15 cents. $203,000 currently would be your rough income as opposed to your expense. Now, in talking about this, we came up with something that might be a benefit to this. On top of the fact that obviously it would offset a cost of running the transfer station, should you take in enough material, and if this charge account was set to its own fund, so that you knew what the revenue coming in there was. We have repeatedly had people begging for bulky trash pickup again here in town. The last time we did it, it cost us about $100,000. Board of Finance has been reluctant to put $100,000 in for bulky pickup, which I think we can all understand. You would then have a revenue source, what I'll call bulky for bulky. By charging for this, would pay for a bulky pickup in town. So after your first year of collecting this, you could prescribe to be able to have the bulky pickup that following year in town. So while they're paying to dispose of material, it will provide the residents of town a benefit where they can pull the stuff out to their front yard, and, you know, we have a third-party vendor would come along and pick it up. So anyhow, that was a thought we also had to go along with this. It goes hand in hand with the recycling bins, the pink bags, some of the other stuff we're doing. You know, it's expensive to do it, but we thought it might be an opportunity to help offset that cost. And you being the guru of recycling, and you're sitting there clearing your throat and all, what are your thoughts on that? And we're not voting on this till next month. This is strictly for, I knew we had a light agenda, so I thought we could talk about it.
My thoughts are that it makes sense, and I actually like the idea, Jim, of potentially tying in this to a potential bulky waste, although we have both sides of that story. There are some people that absolutely want it, and some people absolutely despise it, so.
And then there's another group that go and stop at every house that has crap out front. And
Well,
take
that
stuff.
happens too. So that one time was quite memorable.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think the concept of doing this makes sense. But my real question is, though, in looking at it, and I look at what, I guess it must be John or you put together, you know, minimum charge. I'm thinking, though, are we really going to charge, because I thought we talked about this before when we first started discussing this as a possibility. We talked about, you know, I hate to lump people into a contractor category, but I also hate to see the person who's got a broken chair, you know, put in the back of the car, bring the broken chair over, have to pay $10 to get rid of it. So I thought we were talking about a minimum, well, having either minimum or just, you know, a certain amount, because
I think that, I thought.
we did, but
there is,
I'm looking
and-
right
well,
here.
there isn't anything here. This is why
Okay.
we're having discussion.
Well, that's
on
why I
it.
see at the bottom says minimum charge 66 pounds or less. So if I come in with the car at 66 pounds or less, you want to charge me, I say you.
I think-
The proposal says they charge
Yeah.
you $10. I think what that's going to lead to is people finding ways to get rid of stuff that we would like to see in the bulky waste. Like I've witnessed and you've witnessed, a lot of recyclables, it drives me nuts, cardboard and other things going into the hopper. I think we're going to see a lot of bulky waste ending up in the hopper from individuals that are going to say,
Not when Vicky's on duty. I don't know if she knew this was on here.
yeah.
Go ahead, Mitch.
But that's my concern, is that then we're gonna find
think-
ways. So I'm hoping that,
I think that would be at the discretion of, I'll say Jerry, because he's usually at the window. And, you know, if you tell him, you know, Jerry, you gotta use a little judgment here. You know, if it's a homeowner coming in with a trailer behind their car, yeah, they're gonna have to go on the scale or something, it's gotta be. But if they're coming in, like you say, with a couple broken high stools or something like that, you go, okay.
But
You know, that's gotta be a judgment call.
well, either it's a judgment call or we put it into the regulations that 100 pounds or more, or whatever a cutoff is, that, you know, anything less than is just, as long as it's not brought in by
Right.
a resident.
Well, they put
Not a
66
kind-
pounds, so
yeah.
that's
Well,
that's an arbitrary number.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you wanted, that's why we're having this discussion
And like you
tonight.
said, we're not voting on it tonight.
No.
I'm throwing it out there as a thought. And I think we should get in the next month, all of us, some feedback from people who are watching this and people we talk to, what their thoughts are about it. You know, certainly, I think it makes sense, especially when you have contractors coming in there and like you say,
Which is the purpose of it.
you know, the
So-
demolition material, you're redoing the kitchen, or you're doing the roof, or you're doing some of these big projects, you know, the bathroom. To me, that makes sense, and there should be a charge because it is costing us a significant amount. For the individual that you know, did a small job, and everything can fit in the back of the car kind of thing, I think we're really, I think it was gonna work against us on that. But that's my thought, and I'm willing to listen to what
You will always
you
get
say and
some-
what other people who are watching this and we talk to in the next month say, and try to get some feedback on this.
I think you will always get some that are thrilled over the top, and you will get some that are gonna curse you till the end of time. But, you know, we went toe-to-toe, you and I, over the leaves. How much complaints have you gotten since that got implemented, and how many yards other than mine do you see that still have leaves on them? Really? I mean, it didn't seem to stop anything.
But it wasn't to charge homeowners, it was only to charge commercial.
Right, but then that vendor would charge the resident as part of their service.
Our ex officio member Ann is correct, though. It was, you know, and we did spar on that, Jim, and you're right. I mean, but you also said tonight, we've gotten that much less in.
Yes.
For better or for worse, we're not receiving as much leaves. I think you're gonna find the same thing's gonna happen with the bulky waste. Trying to take the amount of bulky waste we get in here now, equating a dollar figure to it, I think you'll see a precipitous drop-off for people finding other means to get rid of it, hopefully in legal manners.
Yep.
But once again, I'm hoping not to, you know, push our residents that may have that small job
I
and
think-
want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Meaning that, you know,
Yeah,
it is a chore. If you do bring stuff to the transfer station, you used to just go up the hill, and you say, nah, today I gotta go to the back because I've got some metal or
something
I've got
else.
some other stuff. But then to say, I'm also gonna get charged because I've got a piece of metal, which we're not talking about, or, you know, so.
So, I mean, if you think that, you know, what I would say is, you wanna find out some more, get some more thought on it. However, well, you know, it could happen at the meeting also. But if you have thoughts as far as poundage and things like that, an email ahead of time would be good to add into the document, or if you just wanna make that change that night, we can do that, because then it wouldn't take effect until signage has to be made, put out there. And, probably April, it will probably be like April 1st or April 15th before it's implemented, but it's just something that, you know, the time has come. I mean, when you see them filling 4 dumpsters, you know, on a Saturday, it's like, holy moly, where's all this coming from? And, so that's why I brought it to you as a group. It's not me, it's your tax dollars that are doing it. And like I said, so far in the first 5 months of this fiscal year, almost 673 tons of material. That's a lot of material. I mean,
At the same time, Jim, I think you, through your means, and I will, and just watching OGAT, encourage people if they have comments and don't see any of us in the
Email.
meantime, please
Email or
either
call.
email or come to our meeting.
yeah.
You know, it
The
does.
crowd is packed out there, ladies and gentlemen.
There's
but
room.
We can fit a few of you in. Okay, so that's gonna be, there's no action to be taken on that one. That's gonna be on our February meeting. We'll move to committees. Pension Board, Selectman Goldblatt.
No report this month.
Okay, Capital Planning, Selectman Okenquist.
Lots to report. We've had our first meeting, we're having our second meeting tomorrow night, but we've also had site visits for the Board of Education and for the Police Department and the library. And we're having one next week for the Public Works Department. And the department heads have been very enthused about having us come and look at their requests. And they're gonna come and make their formal presentations in the next two meetings. So, like I say, we have a meeting tomorrow night where we're gonna discuss the Board of Education and the library. And next week, we'll be discussing Public Works and Community Services and Park and Recreation Department.
Okay. Very good, thank you, Ralph. Bond construction oversight, anything cleaning up on that,
That's
Mitch?
basically it, just clean up, looking at invoices when necessary. At this point, pretty much waiting for Town Engineer Bob Britton to let us know when we need to meet again. You know, we've got a meeting scheduled each month, but we're not gonna meet if there's nothing to do. But there is some, last minute stuff and things that have to be worked out. Also included in that is the fact that we have to apply for reimbursement for the school construction that was done, getting our fair share from the state. And so Chairman Kraut and the Board of Education people are working on making sure those documents are put into place so we get our money back from the state. Yeah, thank you.
Personnel did not meet, but they will be meeting shortly to discuss a couple things. And I would like to ask Selectman Novicki if you are available during daytime. Generally, it's an afternoon meeting, a little bit after lunchtime generally is when it has always worked for Mr. Davis and Mr. Okenquist and Mr. Cifarelli and Gear are here. If you would like to be seated as the one of the representatives on that personnel committee. It's something new. I don't know
Yes.
what your background is on
I
that
will.
area. I mean, we did have you sit in on that's a funny one on those contracts. I'll tell you after we're off the air. I
Yeah.
welcome you to that, so we'll sign you up for that
Okay,
committee.
thank you.
Excellent. Also, just so people out there in TV land and all of you sitting here at the table, we have 4 openings on the Orange Visiting Nurse Association Board that need to be filled due to vacancies. We have some vacancies, including Selectman Novicki's on community service that needs to be filled. We have filled, as of tonight, a couple on Park and Rec, a vacancy on the zoning commission. We've started some of the other appointments and all as well. But just so you all know, we are looking for some people. If you have interest or background that you would like to sit on the Orange Visiting Nurse Association Board, we do have opening there, and Community Services, 2 very important boards that provide services to our residents. And contact the first selectman's office or one of the selectmen if you have any interest, and they will forward us your information. Also a vacancy on wetlands was also filled, somebody that I think you had spoken to.
What about, is there still a vacancy on OGAT?
I think we might have 2 on OGAT, as a matter of fact. Yes, Orange Government Access Television is looking for at least 1, if not 2, there as well. So thank you for all of that, and is there a motion to adjourn and the glare hits just right?
So moved.
Is exactly 8 o'clock? Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor? Done.
Aye.
8 o'clock, thank you.